Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today I'm proud to bring you all things paranormal with Paul Barberus. Greetings and welcome, Paul. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine there, Hercules. I got a nice little panel here, and we're going to talk about cryptids tonight.
That is incredibly awesome, and I'm looking forward to sharing my own cryptid tales.
And I have Heather Colburn, and she is a paranormal experiencer. We actually did an investigation at her house. She's been on some HPI paranormal investigations, so she's a paranormal investigator. We got Justin Beltramo, and he's a paranormal observer and a paranormal enthusiast, and he wants to know everything about what's going on with the paranormal. So,
Yeah.
and he's a movie buff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, um, I could start off because I did some monster hunts, but I want to get everybody's story out. So I'm going to start with Hercules. Hercules has a very unique story, and I want to hear it. And then we'll go to Heather and Justin.
Hi, my name is Hercules Invictus, and I've been investigating the paranormal my entire life. I'm in my late 60s now, so I'm kind of retired. But around 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Pennsylvania with our family in the Poconos. And one of the first things we did was we spoke with local folks about the folklore of the area, and we experienced very many things. One of the weirdest things we experienced was not a cryptid, it was singing children. They were like singing ghost children that you could hear at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, regardless of the weather on the mountains. And we've had very many people staying over listening to these children singing with us. And we did a lot of research, and we could not discover any stories that were explaining these children what they were doing, singing at all hours of the night. But we spoke with very many people, and they also experienced this phenomenon in the mountains. In terms of cryptids, there were a handful. The most common one was the black mountain lion that we found in northwestern New Jersey as well. That a lot of people were experiencing uh, sights of mountain lions that were pitch black like panthers. But the weirdest one that we found was the crawling hand or the land octopus. And we couldn't find any folklore regarding this either, but it was very commonly reported in the area. And it looked like a hand that was very red and raw, and it crawled on the ground like an insect. And some people said it was a land octopus. Now, although there's a lot of folklore about like inland freshwater octopi in the United States, I couldn't find anything that described a land octopus. And throughout the investigations, we found absolutely nothing. But I started having dreams about the land octopus, and it looked, those red onions?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, what I dreamed about was the color and the texture of the red onions, but it was like um, a uh, a human hand or the body of an octopus, where it had a thick part on the top and it had the fingers or the tentacles on the bottom, and it crawled along the ground. So my investigations yielded dreams, so it might have been an astral entity, but we weren't able to find anything else on it. And that was the spookiest thing that people reported that we investigated. And I have a lot
Wow.
more stories. I'll let other people speak though, and then more.
And Justin Heather, Hercules Invictus. He's a Greek mythologist. If you want to know anything about Mount Olympus, Greek gods, or Greek history, this man knows it.
All right.
So, Heather has the answer on who or what Bigfoot is.
All
So,
right.
Heather, tell us what Bigfoot is.
I feel like it's orangutans that have escaped. I really do. Joe Martin was brought to America. He worked for Universal Pictures, made 50 movies, escaped 3 different times, once to release elephants and other wolves, and one time he just disarmed a police officer and wanted to play, and they sold him to a circus. They never really said what happened to him after. But he's not the only performing orangutan that would have been around at that time. And it was just this year that it was made illegal for them to be owned. There is no regulation, there's no documentation on how many have ever come in. And if they're smart enough to learn how to spearfish, if they're smart enough to learn how to boat and steal boats and mimic so much human behavior, I really don't see how it would be so far-fetched to think that they could live in the forest.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
hell, they made movies about it. It's not far fetched at all.
Really? There's a movie about it?
Yeah. Well, I meant like the Planet of the Apes. It's
Oh.
Well, that's a very interesting theory. So,
yeah, that's cool.
it's a possibility. What do you think, Hercules?
I think that's very interesting. I don't know very much about orangutans, but I do know that I remember reading an account where the Catholic Church kept sending missionaries to try to convert the orangutans to Catholicism. So I guess they're human enough for missionaries. They're human enough to pull off inspiring a legend.
Yes. I like that. Yes.
Absolutely amazing. Justin, it's your turn.
Well, it's gonna be a short one again because I haven't experienced anything.
Okay.
As Paul knew, but like I said, I try. I want to. Like I even go on my early morning walks out in the creek at 4 a.m, hoping to run into something, but it's nothing's happening to me. It's just I'm just very curious about everything, and that's why I like to be on here. So
Fantastic. And what he's talking about, we have in Elk Grove, the
oh
Lagoon
yeah.
Creek wetlands. And here's the amazing thing. At the Laguna Creek wetlands, there was a giant salamander that was actually seen there. And come to find out, it was two UC Davis people who released a salamander, one of the giant salamanders, at the creek. This happened, let's see, I've been living here since 1994. So it happened about 1995. So that happened, and that would be considered maybe a cryptid because nobody could understand what this creature was. And along the Sacramento River, sometimes you see giant salamanders, according to fishermen. Um, Also, too, in the wetlands, back in Sacramento in 1950, well, not the wetlands, I'm sorry, in Sacramento in 1953, near the American River, a dogman was actually spotted. And this dogman was seen by this lady and was peering through her window. So that happened in 1953, the one time sighting. Then in 1962, in Elk Grove, a dogman was spotted in the fields. And the person who told me the story was Darian Wilcox, and he lives now in Seattle. And he says that his mother was the one who actually spotted Dogman in the wetlands, and it had red eyes, and then the red eyes turned to silver eyes. Then there's Christian Apple, who most recently saw a very large dog at the Laguna Creek wetlands, and there was nobody walking this dog. And he just thought it was really, really unusual, this huge dog walking down the trail by itself. And then he was wondering, and he did some researching on the internet and found out there was a dogman sighting in Sacramento, dogman sighting in Elk Grove. He was wondering if that might be the dogman. In fact, he wants to actually get together with me and go to the location where he saw this huge dog.
Is the Laguna wetlands the ones right here?
Yes, yes.
I say, and those are the ones I walk. Jesus. Like, like I'm literally out there. I'm seriously every morning I'm out there no later than 4:15. And I'm like, that's the perfect time. But nothing. All I
Nothing.
see is the ducks.
A lot of ducks. Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
Okay. My monster hunting. Okay, I've been a paranormal investigator since what 2006. I've been on like 2,500 investigations. I've done a lot of monster hunts. Um, in 2009, that's my monster year. I was contacted by 3 hikers that were hiking in Mount Shasta, and they saw what they can what we consider as a bat squatch. And this bat squatch came out of a crevice, swooped really close to them, and flew off. It had huge wings. They said it had a body of like Hulk Hogan. That's what they described it as. And they said that it had a face of a bat. And Bat Squatch was actually first seen in Mount St. Helens when it erupted, and they saw this creature. And Mount St. Helens is part of the Cascade Mountain Range, which connects to Mount Shasta. So if you look on the internet, you'll actually see the 2009 situation with those 3 hikers. And I was the first one to report it because they actually contacted me. Okay, a lot of people don't realize this, but in Sacramento at the Tower Bridge, Mothman was seen. And it wasn't seen just by one person, which is Mark Greer. It was actually seen by 6 people. So if you look up Sacramento Mothman, you'll see that it was seen by several people at the Tower Bridge. It had large wings. One guy who works at Old Sacramento, he thought it was a bruja, a Mexican witch. He didn't think it was Mothman, but he saw something and it scared him so much he actually called the police. And there was a police report done, and they did a investigation, and the police thought that he was telling the truth. So the Mothman incident that happened at the Tower Bridge in Sacramento, it got so much recognition that it was on Monster Quest on the History Channel. So there was an episode on it. Um, I was Mark Greer actually contacted the Paranormal Hotline, which is my telephone number, and I did an interview with him. And we did an interview with him with News 10, so that was actually on News 10 too. Dogman, Mothman, Bat Squatch, and then I also too got a phone call from some guy from Carmichael. He was out fishing at the Sacramento River, and he claims he saw a water elemental. And this water elemental was actually holding onto a fish, and it looked like an elf, but it was made of pure water. And then it just kind of blended in with the river and disappeared. So you got wet lash, dogman, mothman, bat squatch. So actually, Sacramento has a lot of cryptids. So that's my story.
Back in the day when I was in high school, I took a course called Ecology of the Bronx River. And I used to live in New York City at the time. And the Bronx is one of the boroughs. And they had a garden there, and a botanical garden. And I remember we used to go there and we used to climb the sides of the like the hills, and we used to take samples from the river and things like that. And there were water elementals there by the waterfall. and they looked like translucent women, like you're describing. And unless you looked at them from a certain angle, they were one with the water. But they would also sing too. It was a very eerie type of singing on occasion. And you could sit and watch them for a long period of time. They made no effort to hide. But again, they were hard to see unless you're at a certain angle from them.
Well, also too, Sacramento River, it has a lot of haunting activity, and also too, two SMUD workers, they contacted me and they said that they saw a river serpent in the Sacramento River. So they also have that. So you got a lot of cryptids in Sacramento and water elementals. I mean, what you were talking about, it, that's amazing. I mean, I think they probably do exist. I've never seen one, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, Greek mythology is full of nature spirits or elementals, and there are certain spirits who live in trees, for instance. And in my investigations of those, of the tree spirits, I found out that the people that they're attached to are usually women who've been abused, and they seem to get guardian or spirit guides, I guess you can call them, or protective spirits that are tree spirits or dryads, as they're called in Greek. And um, another mythical beast, I remember when we first moved to Pennsylvania, in another part of Pennsylvania, there was a pet store where there were animal noises of things that weren't pets. So they would hear something like a lion roaring and snakes, big snakes hissing, and goats bleating. And again, that sounds very diverse and nonsensical, getting all these noises at the same time. But if you know Greek mythology, there's a creature called a chimera, which is where we get the word chimerical from. There's like a composite beast, which is part dragon or snake, part goat, and part lion. And here they were getting these sounds in a pet shop. So we went to the pet shop, but the current people who were working there didn't know very much about the noises. The noises were reported in a book on, I think it was called Spooky Pennsylvania or Ghosts in Pennsylvania or something.
Oh,
But we did investigate that because it was mythical enough to attract our attention.
very interesting. Heather, this doesn't have anything to do with cryptids, but I'm going to let you know how I met Heather. She contacted the paranormal hotline, and Heather, tell us what kind of paranormal activity was happening at your house.
We actually sold my grandmother's house. The family didn't want to inherit it, so we sold and split the money because of the paranormal activity. But unfortunately, it wasn't the house. It was my son. He invited someone named Caleb to hang out. He is not functionally verbal. He has autism, and he made a friend that I thought was just, kind of cute at the time until it followed us. And it got to the point where not only did we get rid of that house, never to go back, none of the family. My One of the main reasons we did move that house is my older son was ripped out of our bed
Mm.
by his left leg, and I couldn't even understand how or why that happened. And all of a sudden, I realized there was something Alistair was talking to. So we moved to a new place. At first, it was a duplex, still having problems. Okay, now we moved into the place that we're at now, and Alistair is actually starting to get scared of it. He's trying to tape it into a closet. He's trying to leave it places. He actually left it at one of our friends' houses, and she wanted us to come and get it back because it was playing with her children's toys. And then when we did bring it back, it was in a good mood, I guess. I'm not really sure because it didn't hurt anybody, but it was still moving things around, knocking things over, turning lights off, pushing against the shower when you're in it, or when you're on the toilet, pushing against the shower, just letting you know it's in there. We also had an ambulance that we didn't think could be associated with the stuff, but apparently when you guys came, and I'm sorry, can you guys not use the kitchen right now? Thank you. they came and they saw that it was different entities that were following us around, not just Caleb. Caleb was the main issue, but there were several. And actually, one of them was somebody my father had watched get murdered. And that really freaked him out that your wife was able to see him and knew so much about him immediately. And that blew my dad's mind, actually. He really was like, okay, these people are for real. Thank you for calling them. But even after you guys left, you guys cleaned the house, but not the ambulance. So even though the batteries weren't on and charged, they're like deep cell. It is really hard to get them recharged or rebuy them. They're expensive. The lights would still turn on. We'd still hear voices, and we just got rid of the ambulance.
Wow. Yeah, and that's also too very amazing. Donnie Cho just contacted me. I'm sorry. But also too, when we did the investigation, that ambulance, it had things going on because if that ambulance could talk, you think of all the people that were injured, uh, almost ready to die inside that ambulance. That ambulance was haunted. We actually got some EVPs out of that ambulance. And the story, when it got out there, Ghost Adventure saw it and they wanted to do an episode over there.
We were pretty much done ever touching it again. It was a prison ambulance transport. So the people that were there weren't like people who immediately got care. They were ignored and probably put off, and then last moment were taken, if at all.
Was that are you in SAC? Was that here?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
he actually got it from Oregon.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah,
Craigslist is full.
okay. I didn't know if you were local. Okay, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that was a very interesting investigation. We got Donnie Cho that's going to be coming up pretty soon, and we'll have him talk about his cryptid story.
Yeah. I said,
Heather,
I was gonna say, I have a friend who grew up in a little town in Mexico, Durango, and she swears that she saw or heard the La Llorona growing up along the river.
what river?
Oh, she's down in Mexico. You know, the La Llorona wise tale.
We
There were some people were trying to say that story happened too at the Sacramento River.
Oh,
And then
really?
I started looking it up, and the stories all over the place. All
Yeah.
these different rivers in the United States, La Llorona, whatever.
Llorona, yeah.
Yeah. And then in Mexico and everywhere else, even in Colombia, you know, they.
Oh yeah, she's everywhere. But yeah, she swears that because she grew up, it was a very small, she said they call it's still a pueblo and really like hut area, real old school Mexico, and it's that was her, and she never played down by the river. So
Yeah, and basically, what the situation was this mother. I guess she was jilted by her boyfriend or husband.
Yeah.
This is the way I heard the story, and she was carrying her children into the river. She drowned them. She drowned herself, committed suicide.
Yeah.
And then people who go to the river, she grabs their feet and tries to bring them under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they could hear her crying and like wailing.
Yeah. Hercules, have you heard that story?
Oh yes, the Weeping Woman.
Yeah.
That I've heard not only in this country but in Europe as well. There
Okay.
are variations of that too, and some think it's a type of nature spirit or folklore entity or elemental, rather than a human ghost. Other people think it's a human ghost.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's sure spread around. I mean, it's all over the United States at different rivers in Mexico, Colombia. Yeah, the story got around.
There's a corollary in the woman with the hounds, the woman in white with the hounds.
Yeah.
Experienced it in New Jersey, but it's something that's the story's found way past in New Jersey. I've been called in to investigate a haunted house, and I'd stay over, which is what I usually have to do, and then just know what's happening at certain times, and then I'll relate it to the person. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, nothing was happening until 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was kind of getting tired. But at 3 o'clock in the morning, I started hearing like dogs, like baying hounds, and I saw a woman in white, and all these dogs were baying around her. And she walked through the apartment with the dogs, and then when she got to the other side of the apartment, she just vanished into the wall. So I experienced that, and then I met the next morning with the people on the house, and I described what I experienced, and that's what they'd been experiencing. So I told them that I've never experienced that before, but there's a lot of folklore around it, and that too is spread like the weeping woman, all over the place. So whatever it is, it seems to play out in different locations, and sometimes there's different stories attached to it.
Oh, absolutely. And I see we got Donnie Cho here, and Donnie Cho is a podcaster, paranormal investigator, and he has a podcast called Says Stuff.
Donnie Cho says stuff.
Yeah, Donnie
Yeah.
Cho Says Stuff. Yeah.
I'm not really an investigator. My podcast is usually it's like comedy bits about the paranormal world. That's what I do. Paranormal comedy.
and
Yeah.
and what do you know about cryptids?
Most of, well, I have a unique history with cryptids in that I've never had an experience myself with cryptids. But I did start a few organizations around cryptids, so there's that.
And what organizations are that?
Well, I started the Bigfoot Slayers of America
Okay.
because our group the goal of our group is to eradicate the Bigfoot menace.
Interesting.
And there's a reason for that.
And the reason?
Because there's only room in this world for one Homo sapien, or hominid, and it's us humans. And I'm loyal to our kind.
What if it's an orangutan? Because that came up before.
Yeah, it's humans first. I'm team human. Number one. Those Bigfoots, they trounce on our. See, here's the thing. They claim to own these woods, right? Like we go into the woods and they say, oh, there's Bigfoot, and the woods is theirs, okay? But here's the thing. When I look at those woods on the map, they are within the borders of America. And as an American, those are our woods. That's why those Bigfoots need to go. For America and for humanity. And I'm the voice of that side of the cryptid world. And therefore my show is very popular.
Well, that's very cool.
Because there are plenty of people, because here's the thing, it's crazy, right? Because people in this cryptid community, they're like, oh, we need to respect Bigfoot. We need to give them their space. This land belongs to them. It's like, as if we have a choice. It's so ridiculous to me, right? We don't have a choice. We can't influence anything about Bigfoot because if they are able to elude us thus far, nothing we do or say or decide to do about Bigfoot is going to matter. It's not, because they're just too good. If we haven't caught a Bigfoot now, they're not getting caught.
And Donnie, check this out.
Yeah.
I'm retired from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to talk to a lot of hunters.
Yeah.
And one hunter told me something that just blew me away. He claims that his uncle was hunting near and around Mount Shasta. Everything happens at Mount Shasta. And his uncle saw a Bigfoot, and he took his rifle and shot at it, and he claims that it blew up in sparks. And I was thinking, well, if that story is true, that tells me that Bigfoot can go from matter to energy and energy to matter, and probably can go from its dimension to our reality back to its dimension. So if Bigfoot exists, and the reason why we haven't ever caught Bigfoot is because I think that it could be a matter to energy type being, that it can go from matter to energy and back. That's just my thoughts. And I'm surprised too
Yeah.
on how many hunters actually I talked to that claim they saw Bigfoot. So, I mean, they're seeing something. Either
Can
they're
I?
just all lying to me, is a conspiracy to make up stories and tell me that they saw Bigfoot, or they really did see Bigfoot.
Can I tell you guys the craziest Bigfoot story I ever heard?
Donnie, you do
Please.
that.
Yes,
You do
please.
that.
Okay.
You
This
do
was
that.
okay. I can't speak on how true or not true it is because
Yeah.
this was a podcast where a guy called in
Yeah.
and he sounded pretty legit, right? Like it, but the story is just so ridiculous. Okay. So back in the 70s, there was an incident in this one small southern town where the cops detained this guy for they thought that he murdered his girlfriend because they were walking in the woods, and when they found him, his girlfriend was literally in two pieces. And the guy was there, standing there, and he was the one who called the police, right? And at first, naturally, the immediate thought is the guy did it. So they're going to detain him, they're going to interrogate him. And at this point, the whole town was convinced that this guy did it, right? Until they started taking a look at the girl's body. She was like literally ripped in half at the waist. No signs of cutting, no signs of chains, no signs of saws, no signs of blades. They concluded it was literally as if this girl was pulled apart like a chicken wing.
Wow.
And so they couldn't figure out how a guy could have done that. Now, the guy's claim was that they were walking, they were hiking together in the woods, and they came across a Bigfoot. And his girlfriend's reaction was to scream and shriek at the top of her lungs. And according to the guy, he said the Bigfoot went like this, it like covered his ears and looked like really like angry and annoyed. And then it just took her by like the arm and the leg and just ripped her in half.
Wow.
But the thing is, they couldn't put it on the guy because there was no physical evidence of any way he could have ever even have done that. Right?
It wasn't like the Black Dahlia.
It wasn't like the Black Dahlia. It was the opposite of that. There was no signs of any kind of incision or cut. It was literally as if she had been pulled apart like a chicken wing.
Wow. That is crazy.
But how true is it? But when I heard that story, but the reason why no one's heard of it was because it happened in this really small town, and it was real scandalous, and they just didn't want to. And this was in like one of the national parks. They didn't want that kind of stuff getting out there, because immediately no one would go to the national parks, and everyone would just flip out.
Well, people have doubts now about national
Yeah.
parks because of those books, Missing 911.
A lot of people are missing.
Yeah. Well, just like the Alaska Triangle, you have, since 1978, you have 16,000 people who have just disappeared, vanished. Where did they go? And Donnie, I got to tell you too, you guys, I did an investigation at Mount Shasta, and I think I encountered Bigfoot. Bigfoot is known to communicate with wood-on-wood communication. So you take a stick, you hit a tree maybe 3 times, and wait for a response. 3 times, something's hitting a tree 3 times. So I was doing this, and on my 3rd time doing it, I hit the tree 3 times with a piece of wood, And right behind me at the creek, I heard 3 rocks going into the creek. Bears don't have hands where they can pick up a rock and throw it into a creek. And my investigators, I had 3 of them in front of me. They were not by the creek behind me. And also, too, there was too much shrubbery. I mean, if you were a human going in there, you're going to get cut up. But something threw a rock, well, 3 rocks into the creek as a response to my wood on wood communication. And I think that was Bigfoot. And also, too, we would, on that investigation, Holly DeLauder, the secretary of the late Sylvia Brown, was with us. And Holly DeLauder herself is a psychic medium. And it seems like a lot of people who see Bigfoot, sometimes they'll see Bigfoot and then later on they'll see a UFO. Or they'll see the UFO and then later on see Bigfoot. There's even some campers who actually claim that they saw near Mount Shasta a UFO land, and there were grays walking around the UFO, and also, too, Bigfoot was doing some kind of work for the grays and lifting some heavy objects for the grays. If that story is true, I don't know. But with Mount Shasta, there's so many stories. You got Bigfoot over there. You got Bat Squatch in 2009. You got the last of the Lemurians. You got ghosts, UFOs. I mean, even in 1936, the immortal Count Saint Germain was seen at Mount Shasta. So there's just so many stories about that place. And with Bigfoot, uh, there's so many sightings over there. And also, too, there's missing people over at Mount Shasta. One of the cases where this family with this child were walking on a trail, and they had their eye on the child. He was in front, and then all of a sudden they didn't see him anymore.
Yeah,
And
lots of people go missing there. In
yeah,
Mount Shasta, lots of people go missing there.
people.
It's pretty regular. Yeah.
And they found him later on. I think the next day, something like 36 miles, and he didn't have his shoes on or anything. How can this little kid be 36 miles without his shoes? And then they talked to the kid, and he goes, "Well, I was following my grandmother." And they go, "Your grandmother? Your grandmother's not even here." And he goes, "But she was." And then he described her as like some kind of robot. So the grandmother was this alien creature robot that looked like his grandmother and wanted him to poop into a little rag. So, I mean, that is just one crazy story. Oh, and they got the 3 hikers who the Native Americans tell you not to go above the tree line. And these 3 hikers, professional hikers, very experienced, and the lead man just vanished. They followed his footsteps in the snow, and they just stopped, and he was just completely gone. And they said either he went up or he went down.
Wow. I'm interested.
Oh, there was one more part. I'm sorry. Holly DeLauder. Okay, so the psychic medium for Sylvia Brown. Okay, she stopped at this one location. She goes, "Paul, take a picture of me." I said, "Why?" She goes, "There's something behind me." Okay, I'm looking. There's nothing behind her. I take a picture, and in that picture, you can see behind her a tilted UFO. just like that. And I didn't see it with my eyes. That picture, and Hercules, Timothy, the late Timothy Beckley,
Uh,
he published that story about Mount Shasta and the picture of the UFO behind her.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim Beckley's in her Hall of Heroes, along with Brad Steiger and very many other folk. I'm interested in the other organization Donnie founded. He has one that's protecting us Homo
Yeah.
sapiens from the Homo gigantus or whatever.
Oh, did you want to know about my other organization I started?
Yes.
Oh, it's called the Church of Dogman.
Oh, okay.
I started a
Oh.
religion. So I figured out, like, I was watching John Oliver one day, and he was talking about how a lot of these churches, they could just like start these entities with the government and pay zero taxes, right? And I was doing my YouTube venture, and then a lot of these YouTube channels for these shows, they do super chats. But super chats, YouTube takes like most of that money. That's like half. But if you start a religion and people pay tithe, that's 100%. So I figured a lot of these people treat these cryptids as if they were like religious figures. Screw it. Let's just take Dogman and turn it into a religion. So that's
Hey.
what I started. I filled it out. I filed it with the IRS. I paid the filing fee. So if you would like to donate to our Lord and Savior Dogman, there's certain tenets. Like, we hate Bigfoot because, Bigfoot steals our thunder amongst the cryptid community. So we got to do what we can to keep the whole Bigfoot thing down so that more people will come to the Dogman side.
And he fails to pay his taxes.
Yeah, because we're a 501c3. We filed.
No,
We paid the filing fees.
Bigfoot.
Yeah, yeah.
If they can walk around the
Bigfoot
forest,
doesn't
why
pay
can't they pay
taxes. He doesn't care about, our sovereignty or our borders.
That's why he needs to be
He's a
stopped.
squatter. He's a squatter. He doesn't even have a social security number. What's going on there?
Donnie, you like this guy.
Yeah. The werewolf.
Yeah. You like werewolves?
Can I tell you another really crazy story I heard about Bigfoot?
What's that?
Okay. So in the same conversation, this guy was talking about how there would be, a lot of these missing people cases, these missing persons cases. Not a lot of them, but every now and then they will not be missing, as in they will find them. But you don't hear about them finding them because when they do find them, it's not something they want to share with the public. Okay. For example, we've all heard in the news about how there would be like some jogger or some hiker, and then it turns out that she's been like horribly mangled and torn up by like a pack of coyotes. And they'll put that on the news, like a pack of dogs, they'll say, right? But I'm just like, is that really a pack of dogs, or did they just find something else, but they couldn't say anything else because of the condition or the way they found the body? Like, it was clearly an animal attack. Because if it had been like foul play, then they would have been like, yeah, we found like shell casings and stuff. But they will, every now and then you hear it in the news, right? Such and such jogger or hiker, she was a nice person. She was hiking one day. They found her all torn up. And then they say, oh, there was a local pack of coyotes. Coyotes don't randomly attack people like that. I don't care how big of a pack you got. They don't just come up upon like a totally normal, healthy jogger. And then, I'm pretty certain that was something else. But they didn't want to say it on the news. Right? There have been accounts now. I can't say how true they are, but there have been accounts of missing hunters turning up, and like they would be completely dismembered and all of their parts would be all strewn up in a tree, like up in a tree. And leaning against the trunk would be just their rifle. As if to say, this is what happens when you take a shot at us. Because again, it's not like someone cut them up. It was like as if they're being pulled apart. This guy was talking about how they would find bodies pulled apart, not cutting, not anything. It's clear there's something out there that's doing that, but again, we can't report on it because it's not news friendly.
And that's kind of interesting because in the Sierra Nevada mountains,
Hmm.
you know, Bigfoot is seen.
Yeah.
And the Native Americans, and I think it was the Miwoks, I'm not sure, but I think it's the Miwoks, who actually claimed back in the olden times that they actually went to war with Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Bigfoot, their own territory.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
It's
Native
real
American.
interesting.
Yeah, and are they telling the truth? I mean, why would they tell a story like that? And they said it's real. And then you had also two Native Americans fighting red-haired giants over in Nevada. So, I mean, I think it has
My whole favorite thing about all that is how different tribes, they're very just matter of fact, like, yeah, Bigfoot's a thing, you know, yeah, obviously, yeah, we have a history with them. You know, like all these different tribes will just flat out say that, but they all have their own different opinion or their own like history with them. I find that real interesting. I always feel like they should like compile, you know, all the different tribes and what each tribe says about Bigfoot. I would like to see that.
What
I
is
mean, one of the most interesting examples is like,
that would sell really well if you did that.
what happened?
You should do that.
I think it would sell really well. I think that book needs to be made, like just a compendium of like, here's what the Iroquois think, here's what the, you know, Ojibwe think. You know, like every tribe just go down. They all have their own Bigfoot stories. They all, some got along with them, some not so much. Apparently, there's something going on with Bigfoot and Iroquois. They really don't like each other. You know, I don't know what it is, but then other Native Americans are, you know, tribes are like, yeah, we don't like those Iroquois either. Those guys are jerks. You know, I don't know.
because there's a lot of indications in Europe near the Caucasus Mountains that a lot of the stories of trolls and so forth were actually
Yeah.
Neanderthals. And I remember having some interesting conversation with folks who were saying that ancient humanity didn't have contact with the Neanderthals and so on and so forth. And I would say there's folklore containing accounts of trolls and other humanoids in the mountains and how they could coexist and how they could basically
Yeah.
impregnate the Homo sapiens and so forth. And then later on, they were saying that we did interbreed with the Neanderthals and so forth. So these tales exist. And
Hey, Hercules, let me ask you this. Have you read or watched 13th Warrior?
oh, years ago.
Okay. What were your thoughts on the whole premise, like Michael Crichton's premise of like it's, you know, because 13th Warrior, if you haven't read the book, it's basically the story of like Beowulf and Grendel,
Right.
but it's supposed to be all like accurate. And in Michael Crichton's version, Grendel was actually a Neanderthal. So
Yes.
it was a Neanderthal tribe that was going around raiding people and like eating people. And Beowulf was actually going up against like the last Neanderthals. What were your thoughts on that premise? Because I always thought that was real interesting.
I think it's interesting. I don't think he actually eliminated the last Neanderthal. I think the Neanderthals survived to this day.
Yeah.
And there are certain people who are near the Caucasus Mountain, their descent, who definitely have features that seem a little bit more primitive than humanity beyond the Caucasus. So I think the Neanderthals survived to this day. And we have enough stories,
Yeah.
mythologies, like in Greek mythology too. You have the giants and the titans and all sorts of other larger sized humanoids, and they too, like the gods themselves, could interbreed with humanity and create hybrids. So we have
Well,
stories.
I always say, like, my opinion is that the Neanderthals, they never went extinct. They just got absorbed by us.
That's close to my book
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we just absorbed them. They never went extinct like it's not like the dinosaurs where it was just like all at once. No, we just absorbed them over a long period of time.
Hmm.
And I thought
Yeah.
some scientists actually checked our DNA, and they were saying that there was DNA from
Yeah.
Neanderthal in us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it seems like they were absorbed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
According to those blood tests you take, I think I have 3% Neanderthal blood.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I think that's why different races exist with humans, because there's a different degree of how much they interbred with other like human hominid species. Like they say Asians are mixtures of like, you know, like or the original Homo sapiens and like Denisovans. And
Soviets,
then Europeans are more of a mixture of like Homo sapiens and Neanderthals.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also too, they did a DNA check somewhere in South America. I think maybe Chile,
Mm-hmm.
and the DNA pointed towards Taiwan.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Makes
it's
you wonder why all those CEOs quit
Yeah.
and after the huge blood testing scandal. What were they actually testing for?
Well, the Olmecs had
Yeah.
African features. You know, if you look at
oh,
Olmec
yeah.
statues,
Olmec.
like Africans, and there are stories in pygmy tales how the pygmies sailed around the world at one point in boats, and there's folklore throughout the world that describes short humans who worked metal and traveled around who sound like pygmies. So there's all sorts of strange history that we don't accept in our orthodox stories, but that
Yeah.
really tells you a lot about different realities that we find, especially those of us that investigate such things. So uh, we tend to ignore that which does not agree with the stories we want to tell.
You know, that just kind of reminds me. This is not paranormal, but with myself, I've been to Tahiti, and everybody over in Tahiti. I went to Papeete, Tahiti, and everybody calls each other cousin out there. The Tahitians call each other cousin, and they were calling me cousin, but all the other tourists they weren't calling cousin. I said, "How come you guys calling me cousin for?" And they said, "Because you have Polynesian blood in you." I go, "No, I don't." And they go, "You do, but you just don't realize it." Come to find out, I did the 23andMe, or no, I did Ancestry.com. And come to find out, I did have Polynesian blood in me. Yeah, and then that wasn't the end of it. Um, we did a paranormal investigation in Covelo. Covelo is Indian territory. And I said, "Thank you for allowing me to bring my paranormal group over here to do an investigation." I said, "I heard that we are the first paranormal group here in Covelo." And they said, "Yeah, we invited you because you are Native American." And again, I said, "No, I'm not." And they go, "Yes, you are. You just don't realize it." But when I did the DNA check, yeah, on my mother's
Wait,
side,
how did they know they were, how did they know you were Native American if they hadn't met you yet?
they just knew. It was
Oh,
like a spiritual thing. They just
oh,
they
really?
yeah. I mean,
Did they at
well,
least know what you look like at
oh
the
yeah,
time? Oh, okay.
they yeah, yeah.
Oh.
At one time, my group HPI was very well known,
Mm,
but we did documentaries, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, so they knew what I looked like and everything.
mm.
They
Oh,
invited
okay.
us over there.
And I
I
hate
was,
to interrupt
yeah.
our conversation because, but the hour went by fast. We're already.
Oh man, that went by quick.
Oh
Uh,
my god!
I'm really happy with the show and with the people on it, and I'm looking forward to the conversation continuing.
Yeah.
And Heather and Justin, Donnie, I think you already are connected to Hercules, but
Yeah.
Justin and Heather, let me know and I'll connect you to Hercules.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all so
Yeah,
much.
this was fun,
Incredibly
guys.
awesome.
Thanks.
I guess before we close, though, share how people can get in contact with you. And if you want me to send you a link to tonight's show, it will be up by tomorrow around noon. just contact me on Facebook or let Paul know, and Paul let me know, and I'll gladly provide you with links. If not, they're going to be on Facebook. So how can you be reached? How can you be found? How can the worlds that you've opened up to us be shared with others?
Justin, you can go first.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just on Facebook. It's just, my name, Justin Beltramo. Or if you can't, yeah, I'm on Paul's friend list. So you can find me there. If not, on Instagram, I believe it's, JTB underscore 420. So something on those lines, but yeah.
And
Yeah. And
Hercules,
feel free to reach out. I mean, it's you, I'm not shy on there. So.
okay. And Hercules, I will make sure they get the link to the
Yep.
show. So
Oh, awesome.
I'm very good at that. Heather, how can people contact you?
Facebook, it's Heather Colburn. I'm also on Paul's friends list, and I don't do Instagram.
Donnie, how can people get a hold of you?
My YouTube channel is called Donnie Cho Says Stuff. It's on Saturdays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Although I am taking like a hiatus right now, so if you'll excuse me, probably not gonna come out with any new content for like at least another month or so. I've been playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and those shows take way too much time to prep, and I'm just like, nah, I deserve a break. So, yeah,
I
Baldur's Gate 3.
I do fantasy role playing groups for kids in schools and libraries and
Yeah.
things like that. So that's a conversation we'll have another day.
We got to have a Dungeons and Dragons conversation. We got to do a Dungeons and Dragons episode.
Oh yeah, we can do that.
Just Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah.
I will schedule it.
Okay.
And Paul, who is the font of many awesome things. How can people find you and enter your world?
First off, I want to tell Justin, watch the movie called Match.
Okay. It's I think that one's on my list. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Tubi. Oh my God.
Yeah, Tubi. Yeah.
It is the most wicked movie I have ever seen.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh
That
my-
was okay.
I'm still traumatized from it.
Okay.
Oh,
Anyway.
geez.
You gotta
So-
watch
Yeah.
Bring Her Back was kind of weird. I watched that a couple weeks ago. That was interesting.
Yeah, Donnie, he's our movie buff.
Oh,
Justin.
okay. Yeah, we got to do. Yeah, I could do movies. We could talk movies.
Oh yeah.
We have several movie related shows. One of them is called Sword and Sandal Cinema. The other one's called
Yeah.
Brian's Drive-In Theater. They were
Okay.
retro sci-fi cinema. We have a bunch of cinema shows. So
Yeah. That's when I'm not at work, I'm watching movies. So
all right.
And I've
We
been
need to do an episode. By the way, we need to do an episode on just 80s action movies.
100% 80s is
Yeah.
the best era.
Just
It's,
80s action
really
movies.
is.
my number one most favorite movie is Legend.
Oh,
with Tom Cruise.
yes.
We've done
Yeah.
Sword and Sandal and
Yes.
high fantasy shows.
Yeah. No, there's nothing
Yeah.
better than that. Yep.
All right, great.
Mine was Never Ending Story, by the way.
Oh,
I-
yeah.
Yeah.
love Gen B.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. So you might be able to help me remember the name. I don't know if you remember this movie from the 80s. A boy had to get a special sword in the mountain that would go because the villain's heart was made out of stone.
That sounds familiar, but I don't
And because it
I'm
wouldn't
drawing a blank.
harm good guys like his allies. The sword would not cut
Mm.
anybody in human, but it was only made to pierce the heart of the sorcerer's heart.
Magic Kingdom.
I don't know. I don't know. I have to look that up.
Hercules would know better than I would.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that from when I was a kid, and I can't find I can't remember the name.
We'll have an 80s action adventure show, and my specialty is barbarian movies.
Okay.
Oh, we
Perfect.
could talk barbarian
Sword and the
movies. Yeah.
Sorcerer?
Yeah.
Sword and the Sorcerer, that's one of my favorites.
I know that's. I
Yeah.
think I just watched that, but the villain's heart is made out of stone. I remember.
Okay.
He has to stab it.
We will seek to discover the name of the title of that.
Okay. Man, I was hoping.
Can you do a conversation, Hercules, on the Highlander series?
Oh yeah.
We have one of my hosts
Yeah.
is putting together a book on Highlander.
Okay.
Highlander.
All right. We'll talk Highlander.
Did one on James Bond, and her significant other did one on the new Sword and Sandal movies, like The Rock's Hercules and things like that. So yeah, definitely we can get
Yeah.
conversations going. In
Well-
fact, Paul has another show for this time slot. So when he's not doing all things paranormal,
We got to do an 80s action movie episode.
Right.
That's what we got to do. Yeah.
And also too, I heard, this is what I heard, that there can only be one.
Yeah.
we will be that one. And Heather shared that Bigfoot maybe escaped orangutans. So we have to examine what their rights should be under the aegis of your organization, Donnie.
I like orangutans. Orangutans are sweet. They need to be protected. They need to be loved and cherished. Every time you see them up there, they're just the most adorable things. Bigfoot, on the other hand, no,
Needs to pay taxes.
no. Bigfoot, no.
Thank you all for a phenomenally interesting and amusing and informative conversation. I wish you all success in all your endeavors, and I'm looking forward to speaking with all of you again. And Paul, thank you for everything. You're an awesome individual.
Thank you so much, Hercules. You too. And everybody here on this panel was very awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
yes, they were. Good night, everybody.
Good
See ya.
night.
Right.